Hey guys, Kate Kennedy here with another project using this September hip kit. Now, before you freak out and say, oh my gosh, she's going way too fast, don't worry, because what happens here, and I'm sure this has happened to y'all, and if so, I would love to hear how you handle it, is that I start off with an idea or a concept. So I'm just taking a bunch of the different papers and layering them on top of each other and kind of loose cutting them and folding up the edges and things like that and getting like a map for my picture, which is what I intended to do. Um, this layout takes me down a path that I spend a lot of time on, and in the end, I don't really like it. I go through a lot of different concepts. So that's why it's so fast right now. When I start working on what the layout ends up looking like, I'll slow it down some. So first, I have this picture that's from Napa, downtown Napa, and it's this, I think it's called the Oxbrow or Oxmoor Market. It's the coolest place ever. And they also have like a farmer's market next to it. And I just snapped this picture of the outside of it, and I wanted to scrapbook it because it was one of our favorite places that we went when we were in Napa for our honeymoon last year. Anyhow, so I the colors in the picture are really similar to the colors in this kit, which was awesome. And it's for my honeymoon album, which one of the distinct things about my honeymoon album is that most of the layouts are done on white cardstock, and then they have like a very vibrant print pattern paper border around them, which I totally forgot about when I was making this layout. And I end up actually matting it on that cardstock you see right now on the screen. But like I said, I go down this path of embellishing that just, I don't know what I was doing, honestly. It was one of those things where like you say, oh, that's a good idea, and then you start and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, and then you go, oh, this is not what I wanted this layout to look like. So what I'm doing here is just adhering all of those layers, and I really like the way that it looks now. And I thought I was going to use this favorite chipboard die cut from the My Mind's Eye 12 by 12. Okay, sorry about that. The phone rang, and I've also pulled out this Chamel sticker from last month's kit, which I don't end up using. I pulled out a few things from last month's kit, but I don't think I end up using any of them. So like I said, I'm going to go through a whole bunch of different ideas, and some of which I kind of wish I would have stuck with because I do like them. But you're going to see that this circle leads me down the path right here. This is what started it all, is that heart-shaped chipboard circle. And then I say, oh, well, I can use these quirk circles. And then I can cut pattern paper to make my own embellishments, which I love to do. And I like the way that it looks. And so I start by moving this over so I have room for all of these circles. And like I said, this is just going to take me down about, I mean, this layout total time, it took so long that my camera actually stopped recording at one point because I didn't realize that the card was full, and that's an hour and 30 minutes. So that's how long this layout took. So here I am punching out all these shapes, and I left this in here for a couple of different reasons. One, to show you how I mean, it's not easy to design sometimes. Sometimes layouts just go wrong. But I also left it in here to show you that I really do like these little circles that I made with the little embellished circles and stuff, which I saved for something else. I don't know if I'll use them during this month, but I might use them later. But I do like the concept of this sort of layout, and I've done something like this before, and so I wanted to show you how to do it and how I put it together because it could work for you. You know, it just didn't work for me on this particular project. So I didn't want to just erase all this footage because I thought it was, thought it was good. Maybe I should have put it in a separate video, but you know, I didn't. So here we are. So here I am making all these little circles, and I just used some different size circle punches. If you don't have circle punches, you can just trace something circular that you have and freehand cut them, or you can just freehand cut them without tracing anything. Just cut a circle. So there's all kinds of different options. And at this point, I think I'm still using gold, but I will switch to silver in just a minute. So I'm going through, last month we got the Maggie Holmes. No, I keep wanting to call it Maggie Holmes. It's just crepe paper, open book, ephemera pack, which I have in that little jar there, what's left of it. So I was just going through that to find some circular things because I didn't have a punch that those cork circles are different sizes, and I just didn't. The punch I have didn't work. So now I'm switching where I had put the little pieces of pattern paper. I'm switching them to opposite corners because that's the way the layout flows now. It's opposite of the way I thought it was going to flow. So I'm now adhering all these. Oh yes, I am. And if I almost feel like if I would have left it just like this, I still would have been happy with it. But I couldn't just leave well enough alone. And I added more and more, and then the layout was all lopsided, and it just didn't work. Apparently I don't know what I'm doing right now. I ran out of adhesive like 3 times because I have like all of these different little snail runners everywhere, and because I just get different kinds from here and there, and I don't have refills for any of them, and they kept running out, and it was just wasn't my night. And I apologize for the pictures at the end aren't the best because it is really, really dark here, and it's raining, and it's really hard to get a good photo when there's not good natural light. So you can see where this layout went, and it's just overwhelming. It's too much. And honestly, watching it back now in this video, this is the first time I've watched it back. It's not as bad as it looked to me in person. And I find that that's true a lot of times. That when I'm narrating a video, I go, well, I kind of liked that idea. Why did I scrap that, you know? Okay, so now I have flipped the paper over. I've transported those little strips from the top that I liked. I did like those. And I'm kind of starting over. I still have all of those circles, as you can see, and I'm pulling pieces off of them to use on this layout. So I've kind of slowed the speed down, or I do in just a second, so that you can see, because this is where the layout really starts. You know, now that we're, I don't know how many minutes into the video, but I'm going to take this alpha and just put Napa, California, because that's another thing in all of my honeymoon pictures. I have the city and state where we were somewhere on the layout. And I've decided, since I'm using silver, that I'm going to take that Hello wood veneer from Studio Calico, and I'm going to use some silver glittery embossing powder on it. I love embossing wood veneer. Y'all have probably noticed this because I do it in just about all my videos lately. With all the kits that come with wood veneer, I emboss it. So this is actually from a previous hip kit. It's the American Crafts Silver Sparkle. Would you look at what a disaster my desk is? I'm sorry, that was so random, but I didn't realize that I was zoomed out that far and you could see my whole mess. So now I have embossed it, and that's when the video cut out and I didn't realize it, and so you missed part of it. But now I'm taking a piece of vellum and I'm stamping the triangle stamps from the stamp add-on this month, and I'm going to also emboss those with the silver glittery embossing powder. I do some larger ones and some smaller ones. I only end up using the smaller ones, but I figured while I have all this out and I'm making a mess, I might as well, do a few different sizes. So my advice for embossing on vellum is, first of all, have some sort of like static thing. Like if it's, baby powder or one of the static bags or something like that, you'll want to use that because embossing powder, if it's going to stick to something, it's going to stick to vellum. Also, you will want to use, there's like kind of like a duller side to vellum, I've noticed at least, that's not as slick. And I find that that's easier to stamp on because Versamark is a very slippery ink. And unless you go straight down and straight up, you might get a little bit of smearing. My other trick is to start your embossing from make sure your heat gun is really, really hot, and then apply the heat from the back of the vellum first, because that way the embossing powder doesn't fly everywhere, especially when you're using glitter. It kind of starts to melt before it gets the actual like wind on it. And it also keeps it from warping. So now I'm just hand cutting these. I could have used the dies, and I love the dies. My only problem is that they're solid, so you can't see through them when you're die cutting. So you'd have to die cut all the triangles first and then stamp on them, and I'm terrible at that. So these are triangles. They're fairly simple to cut out, so I just, when you're cutting around a stamped image, so I just decided to go with that. What I love to use the dies for is to cut out pattern paper, because then you get completely uniform triangles, which I wouldn't if I was just trying to freehand it. So I'm just adding these to the top right hand corner of the layout, kind of pointing towards the photo. I've added in the upper left hand corner is a metal heart from My Mind's Eye and a sticker from the My Mind's Eye sticker sheet. Then I have 2 stars, and there's a heart at the bottom, but you can't see it, that are from the Teresa Collins chipboard. And then that little row of hearts is from the My Mind's Eye 12 by 12, but I end up taking that off. And now I've just pulled some sequins. These are from previous hip kits, and I'm going to take a little bit of this Ranger Multi Matte Medium, and I just stick it right in the lid because I can just wipe it out. And I'm just going to add some sequins to this. I haven't used sequins in a long time, and I love them, so I decided that that would be fun. And I wanted to, there's a lot of colors in that the layers of paper, and I wanted to add them, like the yellow and the mint and the gray and the silver. So I wanted to make sure to highlight those colors, and I thought that this was a great way to do it. So there's really no rhyme or reason to this. I didn't lay them out first. I'm just kind of putting them down. And the last thing that I'm going to do is my journaling. And I've done this before in gold, and I really like the way that it looks. So I'm going to take let me see what the name of that pen is. It's called a Writer. It's by EK Success, actually. It's called a Writer Metallic Collection. One end is a 1 millimeter, and the other one is a 1.2. So I use the thin side, and I just draw some lines. It has like a paint ball in the middle of it, of the pen. I just draw lines, and then I just hand write my journaling. And the only problem with this is that it doesn't show up well in photographs because it's really light. But it's a really cool pen, and if you like to write metallic, you'd like this pen. So that's going to finish up the layout. I'm going to have some close-up pictures here for you. Also, I forgot to tell you, I also matted the layout on that piece of, it's like a minty green teal color, but I mounted it offset. So it's only 2 sides of the layout have a background. So here are the close-up pictures. And I've also included some pictures of the October hip kit because it is fabulous. So here come those pictures. So make sure to check it out. And if you subscribe to the hip kit and use the code CraftinKate, you'll get a free pattern paper add-on, and it has the new Maggie Holmes open book collection in it. So you'll want to check it out. Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you're having a great weekend. Bye.